Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we're going to be starting our novel, The Red Pyramid. Before we begin, we want to talk about what text features do you notice. And so I want you to pull out your foldable, and I want you to look on this front page. What do you notice? Well, we notice talk bubbles, we notice pictures, we notice some text up here, some white text. Great. So silently write down what text features you notice on pages 4 and 5. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. It says, what are the defining characteristics of graphic novels? How can I make meaning of graphic novels as a reader? All right, so we're going to be looking at text features. Now we'll review our vocabulary. The first word is obelisk, and that's a stone pillar that's the shape of a rectangle but has a pyramid at the top. And we know the Washington Monument is an example of an obelisk. The next one is visitation, and that is just a formal visit. So we have this formal visit between this dad and son. And then last, we have a duel. That is a contest to see who can win a fight, and it's a fight to the death. And so these two people are fighting to see who can kill the other person in a duel. All right, we're going to read the first 2 pages, and as we're reading the first 2 pages, first we're going to focus on the text features. And so again, we see pictures, and you're just listing these for 1A. We see pictures, we see talk bubbles, we see these picture boxes. We see that the text is divided up into boxes, and those boxes, I'm going ahead. So we see pictures, talk bubbles, and white text for 1A. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 1B. When we're thinking about how the text is organized, think about what order does it go in. And so we know we would start at the top left and we would work our way right. And so when we're reading these boxes, we're starting here in this top left box, and then we're going over to the right, working our way down, then to the next box to the left, down, and then over. And so that's how we're going to read our text today. When we're thinking about how it's organized, we know we need to read left to right, and sometimes we'll need to go top to bottom, or and then we'll need to go top to bottom. And so we know that it's broken up into sections, and so it's also organized in chronological order. And these boxes help us keep the order of what the characters are doing. And so for 1B, we need to say the text is organized into boxes. We're going to read those boxes from left to right and top to bottom. And the text is organized in chronological order in the events that it happened. Press pause to write down your answer and then play when you're ready to start reading. The first thing we're going to focus on is the pictures. And when we're looking at the pictures, we want to think about the characters. Okay, so this looks like our setting. This is not the Washington Monument. This obelisk is called Cleopatra's Needle. And so we have 2 characters, and they're at Cleopatra's Needle. That's in London. And it even says Cleopatra's Needle. Okay, the river, off the River Thames. And this is 6 years ago. And so we have this male character saying, Ruby, are you sure about this? And Ruby says, she told me that this is where it begins. We must start with the obelisk. I don't like it. Won't you call on her help? I know my limits, Julius. If I tried it again, Ruby, if we fail, we can't fail. The world depends on it. Right, step back. And then he's using some sort of magic to do something to the obelisk. Julius, stop, something's wrong. It's already begun. And so he can't stop this magic, and then we can't stop. And now there's like some kind of eye, and the magic has turned green instead of blue. And in the next box it says, Julius, no. And she's diving in front of him because this green magic is coming after him. And then if we turn the page, and we look up at this top box, in this part of the picture it says Ruby, and it looks like the green magic has destroyed her, and he is holding her in his arms. Alright, and so 2A says describe the characters. Well, our characters' names are Julius and Ruby, and we know they are working some kind of magic at Cleopatra's Needle. Julius and Ruby are working magic at Cleopatra's Needle. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 2B. And it says describe the setting, and we can find the setting up here in white writing. It says the story takes place at Cleopatra's Needle off the River Thames 6 years ago. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 3A. It says what problem do the characters face? And so if we're looking at these boxes, we know that the problem occurs down here at the bottom of page 5. Julius works his magic, and Ruby tells him to stop, but it's too late, and Ruby dives in front of Julius to save his life. So what problem did the characters face? They tried to work magic at Cleopatra's Needle, and another form of magic interrupted their spell and killed Ruby. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready. This should say 3B. What evidence from the text supports your reasoning? Well, Ruby tells Julius to stop, and he says, I can't stop. She says, Julius, no, and then dives in front of him. Those are the 4 pieces of evidence we have to support the fact that something went wrong with the magic. And then box 4 asks us to turn to page 6 and look in this top box, and wants to know what new information did we learn about Ruby and Julius. And so in this box is where we learned that that Ruby actually died. And this boy says, Dad, what's wrong? And he says, nothing, Carter, just memories. And so we know that Julius is remembering the night that Ruby died. And that's the new piece of information. Julius is remembering the night that Ruby died. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for 4B. It says, what technique is the author using here? And we know the author is using flashback. The author is using flashback. Silently write that down. And flashback is when, it's just when the author brings up a memory. The author brings up something that happened in the past. Press pause to write that down for 4B. Press play when you're ready for 4C. It says, what effect does this have on the plot? And the author lets us in on a memory that the character has because it's important information to the story. So we needed to know that Ruby died at Cleopatra's Needle in order to better understand the story. And so for 4C, you could write, the author uses flashback to help the readers better understand the text. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. What conflict is Julia struggling with? How did the author introduce this conflict? And so when you're writing your paragraph, you want to focus on boxes 3 and 4 for your paragraph. You have plenty of time. You may begin.